By Rabbi Yair Hoffman for the Five Towns Jewish Times. New Jersey Department of Transportation, NSTOT, officials recently announced the start of permanent repairs to the Route 206 Stone Arch Bridge in Princeton. The Stone Arch Bridge is a three-span masonry arch structure originally constructed in 1792 and widened in 1916. It was closed in February 2016 for 2 weeks for emergency repairs following a partial parapet collapse on the southbound side of the historic bridge. Most people do not know what a parapet even is. Religious Jews, however, do know what they are. It is a fence that surrounds a roof or other elevated area so that one does not fall. The mitzvah is found in Devarim 22-8, and you shall make a parapet for your roof. It is listed in the Sefer HaChinuch as mitzvah number 546, and its laws are discussed in the Choshen Mishpat section of Shulchan Aruch, chapter 540. It is, however, one of the rarest of birachos. Even the most religious of Jews are hard-pressed to name anyone who has ever recited it. Indeed, most people do not even know the exact wording of the blessing. The mitzvah has a negative commandment associated with it, as well. One is forbidden to have dangerous items in the house. Whoever has a roof without a parapet is therefore in violation of 2 commandments. He is negating the mitzvah of making, and he is also violating the prohibition of lo sesim damim ve'ezcha, not to have dangerous items in the house. There are a few issues that are peculiar to the mitzvah of making. Firstly, the Bracha on a mitzvah generally should be recited prior to the fulfillment of the mitzvah, that is, prior to beginning the mitzvah. Yet very often, especially with Jews building it, it takes more than a day to build a makkah. So when do we recite the blessing? On the first day that we build the makkah, each day that we begin working on the makkah, or only the last day, when we know that it will be completed? Also, another question, what is the heter, halachic rationale in being lenient, to allow a person to have a non-Jew build a makkah for him? There is a mitzvah in the Torah for a Jew to build a makkah. We do not ask Gentiles put up our mezuzos, we do not have them light Hanukkah candles for us, so why do we let them put up makkahs for us? One could, of course, answer that most homeowners are not capable of putting up these makkahs, and that if one does have the capability then, in fact, there is no heter and he must do it himself. Indeed, when this question was posed to a prominent halachic authority, he ruled that this is the case. And the Minchas Chinuch writes that a makkah must be built by a Jew. Let's get back to the wording of the blessing, however. If a Jew is building the makkah himself, and it is his own obligation to build the makkah, then the blessing is Asher Kidshanyub Mitzvah Savtzivanu La Isos Makkah, who has sanctified us with his commandments and has commanded us to make a parapet. If it is a Jewish construction worker or handyman, and there are quite a few such people, by the way, building it for someone else, then the blessing is Asher Kidshanyub Mitzvah Savtzivanu Alasai Makkah, who has sanctified us with his commandments and has commanded us regarding the making of a parapet. If it is a non-Jewish worker or handyman and the Jew contributes no physical labor at all, then no blessing is made. However, as long as the make is still not halachically considered complete and kosher, the Jew can take over and then recite the blessing. What happens if the non-Jew has already finished building the makkah? Is there an obligation to undo the makkah and then redo it so that a blessing can be recited? Rav Chaim Kanevsky has a section on the laws of makkah that follows his edition of Masash's Mezuzah, and he rules quite clearly that there is no such obligation. How high does a makkah have to be? The Shulchan Aruch writes that it must be 10 tefachim, hand breadths, high. Rav Moshe Feinstein, ZTL, rules that a hand breadth is 3.54 inches, so the minimum height is about 3 feet. But clearly this is only if the makkah is not needed to safeguard children. A child can easily climb over a 3-foot-high wall, and this would present another biblical prohibition of having dangerous items in one's home. The height should therefore be sufficient so that a child could not climb over it and fall. There are situations in which a makkah should be constructed, but a blessing should not be recited upon it. If the roof is not used regularly, a blessing is not to be recited. Sometimes there may not even be an obligation to place a makkah there. Speak to your local posaic. In Israel, for example, there is often a solar water heating device that is found on the rooftops. Just the fact that it is there does not necessarily obligate you in a makkah. Another example, if you only go up to your roof to build and use your sukkah, it may not require a makkah at all. If t.